Let's see. We are live.
We are live.
Well, I hope that we'll be able to tell that people have tuned in. I don't know if we will or not. This is both our first times doing this, right? So,
Yeah. You got a little thing over there, you got a little banner over there that says live viewer comments show up on StreamYard. But I don't know if they have to watch us on StreamYard or is it like going to where we told our destinations. I tell you what I can do.
I just clicked on comments. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So,
can go
right now, everybody is watching us, not knowing what we're doing.
Oh, yeah.
We're gun guys, not computer guys.
Right. Let's see here. It doesn't look like it's going to our YouTubes just yet. I'm gonna go to your channel and see what's up. See if I can see it going on. Nope, not yet. Oh, yeah. All right, there it is. Oh, hey, I'm looking at us.
Are we on?
Yeah, we're on, man. I'm gonna make a comment real quick.
Johnny just messaged me and asked, "Where are y'all?"
Yeah, tell them to, hey, look on the screen. So yeah, so if they comment on YouTube on the live stream, it automatically goes to here.
That's a good thing.
Yep.
That'll save a lot of confusion. Well, all right, everybody. Hey, welcome to the first installment of what we're hoping will not be a train wreck. The Combined Arms live stream. You have the young gun over there, Tyler Tharp, and the old
That's
dog.
Me.
Old dog. Mm-hmm. What do you call me? Old dog, old school, something like that. Yeah. I'm the old man.
Young blood and old school. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
And we're going to talk about guns and personal defense and everything in between the two of them. Mm-hmm. We're hoping y'all will hit us up with some questions. Especially, I tell you what I would like, and Tyler and I have not actually discussed this, but I think you'll agree with me, is tell us what you would like to see on future episodes. You know, we're going to try to do this about once a month. We're on a Wednesday night now. We'll probably next month be on the first Tuesday of the month. Okay. I had a reason for that, and I can't remember what it was. But anyway, so yeah, if you have ideas for shows, topics, we'd appreciate those because, you know, otherwise we're just going to be sitting here rambling for an hour every month. So, but I'm gonna kick it off. Just
kick it off, man.
Ask Tyler. You know, tell us a little bit of. We'll each tell a little bit about our background in the arena of firearms and all. So.
Well, I'd like to start it off by just saying thank you to all the viewers that are going to be watching this. Appreciate your support and all that good stuff. If you get a chance and you're looking on your, let's see, Facebook or YouTube, if you'll share it, that'll get us more traction. That way people can join in and add their comments and follow along. More comments we get, the more things we can answer for y'all and just keep this going. So, because we're going to run out of ideas fairly quick if we just only get our own. A little bit about me. I am Tyler Tharp, born and raised in Vicksburg, technically Redwood, Mississippi, but no one over that. I guess no one even knows where Vicksburg is unless you're a Civil War buff and the Siege of Vicksburg. But yeah, that's where I grew up on the Mississippi River. Just typical old Southern dude. Grew up hunting, fishing with my grandpa. My folks were law enforcement. Dad died in the line of duty in 2009. I did a small stint in the Army and National Guards at MP. Never deployed, never did anything worth notable. Came out. Eventually, my mom started talking to a guy named Rodney May, and I've mentored under him ever since. He was a Grand Master, OG Team SIG with Max Michelle back in the day, many national titles, area national titles, yada, yada, yada. Used to teach at Mid-South up in South Haven, Mississippi. Most people would say Memphis, but it's technically South Haven. And from there, gained a lot of mill and agency contracts, most notably the SEAL team contracts, FBI HRTs, so on and so forth. So I've learned everything I can from him, and now I'm just kind of doing my own thing, trying to do right by my students. I've gained some, gained some certifications, if you will, along the way. Most recently is the ASPSC program, Active Self-Protection Instructor Curriculum. It's an excellent 6-month curriculum where they teach you how to teach, not teach you what to teach, but teach you how to teach. And it was very, very, very well thought out and executed program. So kudos to all the people that are in charge of all of that. It would take me forever to name all the names. So here I am teaching people, taking classes, having a good time in the old firearms industry.
Good deal. Compared to that, my background is going to be boring. I grew up with a father in law enforcement also. I was enamored by firearms for as far back as I can remember. My family they were not really big firearms people, other than one uncle I have that kind of, he got me started shooting a 22 rifle and taught me how to clean a shotgun when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I was just always just enthralled with guns in general. Grew up shooting shotguns and rifles. In my day, handguns were kind of taboo for young people. I mean, it was sort of like dad and granddad said, okay, I'll show you my handgun, but you can't touch it, can't shoot it. I don't know why. I guess they just thought we couldn't handle it. But I joined the Marine Corps in 1986, did 4 years active duty. Kind of like Tyler, nothing notable. I mean, I deployed to Korea and various other countries, did a NATO float and all of that. Trained with the British Royal Marines and, the Korean Rock Marines and the Korean Rock Army. And it was interesting, but when it comes to handguns, I think Tyler will agree, the military really doesn't teach you a lot about handguns, and generally speaking, what they do teach is not very good unless you are in a special ops type of unit. But I went in as field radio operator in 1986, served with 4th Marines, an infantry regiment in Okinawa for a year. And then in 88, I got sent stateside to Camp Lejeune and went to 3rd Battalion, 10th Marines, who sent me to Naval Gunfire Spotter School at Little Creek, Virginia. And from that point on, I was TAD'd out to Weapons Company, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines as part of their Naval Gunfire liaison team. So we called in the guns we shot then were 16 inch and had 2,000-pound projectiles. Okay, so
the power factor.
Yeah, we still had battleships in service in the 80s. I don't know when they phased those out, but when it comes to handguns, I mean, really, we didn't learn much. I mean, we did more time in the Marine Corps doing bayonet drills, and even hand-to-hand combat was considered at that time more important than handguns were. I actually took an assault course with pump shotguns when I was with 4th Marine Regiment at one point. And that was a short, couple day long course. And there was more emphasis on shotguns than there was on handguns. So I fired 7 rounds out of a handgun in 4 years. And so
really,
I got out of the Corps in 1990 and started trying to make my way into handguns. I'd always had a fascination with them. I didn't know much about them, and probably made about every mistake you could possibly make with them. And, I started, like I told Tyler yesterday, I started reading the old school masters, guys who to me are still relevant to this day, but people like Jeff Cooper, Moss Ayub, and Bill Jordan and various others. Later on, I discovered Rob Latham and Todd Jarrett. And I've got various instructor certifications. Like Tyler said, I'm not going to mention all of them. It's, they are what they are. I think they all have their ups and downs, their strengths and weaknesses. But I think the biggest thing I would say about myself as an instructor is that I'm a perpetual student.
Absolutely.
And, one of the things I think that Tyler and I got the idea about to do this show is both of us are always willing to learn. I don't know how old you are, Tyler. I know I'm considerably older than you.
I just turned 33 yesterday, actually.
Okay, yeah. So you're a couple years older than my oldest son, but I'm willing to learn from him, and I think he's probably going to be willing to learn from others that come along when he's my age. And that's the biggest thing I would say to take from this show is if you ever meet an instructor that says he has all the answers, go take from another instructor. That guy's too arrogant to be teaching.
That's right. That's exactly right. By the way, I just did, so I wasn't ignoring you. I was just taking a poll. Neither one of our Facebooks are going live right now. Only your YouTube channel is what's going live.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. And it says you're the only live viewer.
It says I'm the only live viewer?
Yeah. Yep.
That's great. I don't know how to fix that.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll just have to play around with it. I know whenever we're done with this, we can save it and then upload it to our YouTube as a normal video. And
yeah, but we want it live so we can have questions.
Like I said, I know it's live on your YouTube channel, and that's that. I think.
Wait a minute. Here's a button that says "having issues,"
yeah.
As if they expected this.
Right. Oh goodness. No. So I think it's doing what it can. I think maybe our preemptive settings may have not been correct.
Oh, well, I went in and looked, and you set it up to go live on your YouTube and your Facebook.
That's what I thought.
I did the same on mine.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. We'll catch it on the back end here. And worst comes to worst, like I said, we can upload it, and this will just be a primitive of who we are and what our mission statement is for this.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Yeah. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll try to get a buddy of mine who's an expert on this to maybe join us next time.
Okay.
And fix it for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely not I know Riley Bowman's pretty squared away on this app here, website, whatever you want to call it. He's the one that recommended me to this. I was actually with him this past weekend. I don't know if you know who Riley Bowman is.
I'm familiar with him. Yeah, I don't know his entire background or anything, but I know he can shoot. Yeah, I watched the video of him and Latham making that ridiculous 170-yard shot or whatever it was on a Texas Star.
Yeah, I think it was like just under 100 yards.
Okay.
On the Texas Star. Yeah, I just got a text from Johnny Turner. He says, talk about how competitive shooting feeds into defense shooting. Well, I'll have to go into it with great detail to make any sort of amount of comment. However, I can literally sum it up in this right here. I don't care if you are shooting another living being or a piece of paper. You're either competing for points or life. So technically both are competitive shooting. People get too wrapped around the axle with what they want to call it and be like, oh, paper don't shoot back. All that nonsense. Is like, yeah, but even if it did, you still suck at shooting. So points per time, especially in the USPSA format. I don't really dig much on IDPA because their rules are very subjective and silly. And it seems like they make them up as they go. So not the biggest fan, and their whole use of cover and tactical priority stuff. That's not how real life happens anyway. So for them to think that they are more realistic to real life is naive. It's just naive. I'll tell you what it is. What is applicable is having an autonomous ability with your gun and gun handling and shooting skills. Your marksmanship needs to be autonomous. Your draw, your pressing the trigger without disturbing the sights, and getting adequate center mass shots or even T-box shots if you're needing that, and all of that time restrained marksmanship will be tested in competition. Just, I mean, the only difference between that and a defensive situation is, life. That is literally the only difference.
Well, I would add to that, and say up front, I don't shoot competitions. I shot a handful, 2 or 3, but I've observed enough to know this, that paper targets don't shoot back, and I think that applies. I think that's applicable to the guy who thinks that going out in his backyard and firing off a box of rounds at a paper target and thinks to himself, "I'm good to go." No, if you can do that under controlled circumstances and all the time in the world between shots, never learning the draw stroke, never learning anything else, but you just sit there and take your time and shoot a perfect 1-inch group, and you never go beyond that, then yes, paper targets not shooting back applies to you, because that's as good as you're ever going to get, and you're not anywhere near being prepared for real life. I mean, would you agree?
Absolutely.
When the USPSA tournaments and competitions that I've observed, that I've seen, you're learning a host of things. Not only how to put shots on target under the constraint of time, and time is a stressor. I've seen it in my classes. I've seen students that can sit there and shoot and shoot and shoot, and they're doing great. And once I hit beep on that shot timer, they're heating. They get themselves, they produce their own adrenaline dump. So you add that in on the competition shooting, but then add in lateral movement, vertical or front and backwards movement, all of those are vertical or horizontal. But shooting on the move, learning to place your feet in the proper sequence so as not to bounce the gun or sway the gun from side to side. All of those things come into real life. If you think that competition shooting won't prepare you for real life, you need to put the crack pipe down.
I agree.
Shooting from around barriers.
Yeah, we do that all the time.
You need to be able. You need to know how to do that instinctively, and that's something that has to be taught. Because now, look, I'm gonna throw you a softball, Tyler. Okay. How many new students have you ever had who learned their shooting in all aspects, but especially from around barriers from Hollywood? And how often have you ever seen one that did that who got it right?
I don't know if I've ever seen a beginner properly use cover. No, never. I've seen people do some crazy stuff, and then it makes sense what they're doing wrong once I tell them how much of their body is being exposed, and the fact that you're treating cover more like concealment and you're just not getting it. And we actually break down what they're supposed to be doing. I tell you what, man, one of the most difficult concepts I've tried to teach civilians is properly slicing a pie, because it does not matter how many times I tell them, hey, look, I know you know where that target is that we got to shoot, because I can't just go out there and be moving it around and you be shooting at me. All right, that's not an option. It's stationary just by safety reasons. Like, I know you know that's where it's at, but I need you to not know where it's at. I need you to properly slice the pie searching for it. And I have learned how to say that at least 10 different ways. And I swear to you, as sure as I'm sitting here today, they will still jump around from around that cover real quick, expose half their body, and shoot the target. Like, God bless America. That's
with their gun exposed 1 foot past the barriers here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And once they finally do start learning how to lean out properly and all that jazz, and they finally start getting it, because I'll demo it with dry guns, and I'll put them on the other side of the barrier type of thing, and use a circuit gun or something like that, so they can see it from both angles, and they do start to get it. I mean, it's not that I failed them as an instructor. That's not what I'm saying, that they don't eventually get. But I'm saying this, that out of all the things I try to teach civilians, that one right there takes the most amount of time and practice and demonstration and all that to get them. And then sometimes they'll start shooting the wall when they finally start getting it, because they forget their height over bore of their sights or red dot, and they'll shoot the daggone wall. So if it ain't one thing, it's another. But it's a fun learning.
And look, I don't want to be too hard on any beginner. If they shoot the wall, but they're in a good position, okay, hey, we made progress. That's going to happen. I mean, look, Rome wasn't built in a day. You're not going to get everything right, but I've had the same thing happen where they shoot the wall. And, what I always try to do is I'm not going to come down hard on them. I'm going to say, look, you need to get past that wall, watch your sight picture.
Yep.
You're focusing on a lot of different things all at one time when you're trying to teach that, and especially to somebody new. So I try to be as gentle as my personality allows on those things. Let me ask you this, because I tell you, I was telling Johnny this earlier today, and I know he's watching. But one of the things that I learned years ago, I dabbled in martial arts. I've never, by any stretch of the imagination, became a martial artist. I played around with it for a short time. But one of the important things that I learned there that translates over into shooting from around barriers is foot position. And so if I am leaning to the right, I will take my right foot and twist it at a 45-degree angle in an effort to provide myself better balance. Do you do that, or have you ever seen anybody else do that?
Yes. Hey, right quick, I just figured out how to make sure this goes to all of our channels. And
cool.
In the top right, you'll see in broadcast. To the left of that, you'll see like a little icon with a check mark. And next to that, you'll see edit. So we'll click on that. And
click on edit?
Yep.
Okay.
But guess what? We have to upgrade. We have to upgrade our subscription to be able to do stream to multiple platforms simultaneously. Where did he go? Oh, there he is. He's coming back online. You left me.
Yeah, I clicked on upgrade. I was going to do it right then. Hey, hang on. I'll be right back.
Okay. I'm going to grab another beer while you eat it. Well, anybody watching this in the future, so sorry. We're both technologically disadvantaged. We'll get it figured out. So, thank you for your patience. Glad you're with us. All that good stuff. wish the screen itself had the camera built in. That way it doesn't look like I'm looking over there. I'm actually looking right at the screen, but I have to look at the camera, which then I can't see everything else. And it just makes the whole ordeal awkward. So like the viewers don't think I'm looking at them. They look like I'm off in space, not paying attention. When in actuality, I'm not. I'm actually watching the screen. It's just the fact that the camera's up there and y'all are down there. Anyway, somebody ought to figure that out.
My wife's laughing at us, by the way. I just wanted you to know that.
If my girlfriend was here, she'd be laughing at us too. I promise.
Hey, look, I wondered why we were getting all this for free. When I went in to set this whole thing up, I wondered why it was all free. Now we know. All right, so I will upgrade us tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, cool. Sounds good, man.
But anyway, foot position.
Yeah, so foot position. So, and every once in a while you'll see me post on Facebook something about how the only thing that matters is your sight alignment on the target, proper sight alignment, not disturbing sights via the trigger press. And that is true. And you'll see me make some weird shots on like 1 foot doing something crazy out of position, leaning around a wall, all that jazz, and still getting alpha hits. Yeah, that's fine and dandy because I have learned how to do that. Do I suggest other people go around hopping on 1 foot trying to shoot targets? No. I will absolutely tell you that, hey, proper structure and stability behind the gun will aid in shooting the gun well. And that's all encompassing. So easier to line your sights, easier to gain stability, easier to manage recoil. Also, that's another little rant of mine. I hate it when people say recoil control. You can't control it. In a 9mm handgun, you're talking at minimum 350 foot-pounds of force out of the end of the muzzle. And unless you weigh 350 pounds or you can somehow apply 350 pounds of force directly against the gun as you're pulling the trigger, then you can't actually control it or stop it. But what we can do is we can manage it.
Manage it. There you go.
So, but I'm just a nerd that.
No, yeah, you're exactly right. Look, I don't weigh 350 pounds, but I'm not far. I'm around 325, okay? And I've got video. I had an FBI instructor challenge me one time and to double tap a 44 Magnum, and I did it.
Yeah.
And I've got video of me double tapping a 44 Magnum. All right, 3 times, 6 shots into an 8-inch circle at about 15 feet. Okay.
Yeah.
You know how much energy a 44 has, right?
About 850 foot-pounds at the muzzle.
Yeah. Okay. And guess what? I cannot control recoil on a 9mm. I can manage it, as you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's simple physics, man. And for those that don't know me, I was a math tutor and very much a nerd in my teenage and college days. So until I dropped out because I got tired of it and just irritated and wanted to go to work, I was actually a mechanical engineering major. So I've done everything from math competitions to math tutoring. And when I say math, I'm talking algebra 1, 2, calculus, trig, geometry, tag, transition algebra and geometry, college algebra, all that jazz. I never tutored Cal 2, 3, or 4, linear algebra, thermodynamics, any of that stuff. But I did go through it all. And of course, Cal-based physics. And so that's when I started going off in my little nerdy nonsense at times, and people are like, "Oh my God, I wish you'd shut up." That's why.
Yeah, you lost me at algebra.
Let's see.
I'm not sure they even have all that other stuff where I went to school.
Right. So I got. Let's see. Here's my 5th place in the state of Mississippi Algebra 2 award from 2007.
Yeah.
One of them. And then here's my Algebra 1 award as well for having the highest ever recorded Algebra 1 scoring at my high school. And it's not like I was the best of like 20 people. No, dog. I graduated 12th out of 350 people and went and competed against 100. And we even, Mississippi has a Mississippi School of Science and Math, MSMS, Mississippi School of Math and Science. Yeah. And I beat all them. They were so mad when this redneck from Redwood, Mississippi, sounding like me, come up there and like whooped them all.
Well, now that you've given your education credentials, I got to give them on.
Go for it.
I went to summer school every year from 5th grade through 12th grade. So I should have a PhD equivalency with all the education I got.
I mean, you doubled down. You were there. That's hilarious, man. So actually, my mom was a high school dropout, but then she went on to get a CJ degree, and then finished up her grad as a paralegal. Got a CJ and paralegal masters as well. So we're come from a family of like misfits and all that. Papa was a dropout as well, and all that.
Well, back in those days, they had to go to work, man. They didn't have time for.
Yeah,
you had to feed the family, keep the lights on.
In Papa's day before Vietnam, he was a moonshiner.
Hey, we keep talking. We might have some common blood here.
Hey, we are in the South, man. People think we don't even wear shoes. Like, they're surprised when I got all my teeth, and they're all like, they're real. These are mostly real. They're kind of real. I got, fighting and whatnot. Ended up tripping and eating a piece of concrete one time when I was a teenager. So they're sort of real.
I hear you. Let me ask you this, man. Well, actually, Johnny texted me a question too.
Okay.
How do you approach a beginner that is scared of a gun? I've had this happen more than once, and I've had one that there was nothing I could do. I mean, I don't think I could have done anything differently. This girl had shooting a 22, had tears streaming down her face. And the interesting thing about her was that she deer hunted with her husband. She fired a 308 and went deer hunting. But when you put that handgun in her hands, I mean, she was just intimidated beyond repair. And I felt really bad for her. I was at a loss on that.
Yeah. So, and this is something else I can go off into the weeds about being a nerd. Rifles are different from handguns, and I'm going to tell you why. And firstly, we know that, hey, when we come across a beginner that's sensitive to all that we should start them off with like a pellet rifle, BB gun, little Red Ryder. I actually have them specifically for that. I have an airsoft CZ75 as well that has a light trigger. So if they have grip issues, anything like that, and it's even got a red dot on it too. So if they got vision issues, so I can cater to all of their, I don't want to call them disabilities because there's no disability, but less than perfect, whatever. Anyway, so check this out. We have 5 sensory inputs, right? We have smell, taste, see, hear, and touch. You remember those automatic? Oh goodness gracious, my mind is just going blank tonight for something. Automatic responses to big scary things and explosions and all these. Yeah, so like you jump, you duck, you throw your hands up, you scream, you shout. All those automatic responses that has a cortisol dump that is initiating your adrenaline for fight or flight. Okay. Those are autonomous responses within your body. Those are subconscious built-in DNA. Like that is how the human works. That is how God made us. That's how we have survived for so long. All right, now that you got that. When you were shooting a handgun, guess what? You were holding in your hand 18 inches away a controlled explosion.
Right.
18 inches away from your face. All right. So you were feeling that recoil, however much that may be. All right. You are seeing it reciprocate in your hand, maybe a little bit of ball of flash if you're shooting at low light or whatever. And then you're also hearing it. And if it's a concussive enough, you'll actually even feel it in your nasal cavities, in your nose and in your mouth. Mm-hmm. So you are literally startling almost every one of your sensory inputs. And for some people, that is sensory overload. Like, so I'm sure you've heard of autistic kids with sensory issues, right? So they're sensory sensitive. Anything that startles the sensories will trigger abnormal, whatever. Like they'll have some like degree of mental issue, like they're not happy with it, basically. Well, imagine that a scale. Like that's the worst side of things, right? I'll try to do this right here. Okay. And then me and you, who are so desensitized to this that we could flip the gun upside down and shoot it with our pinky finger and laugh about it, we are over here. All right. You have to be able to cater to all the people on that spectrum. If you have someone over here, all right, you really are going to have to go to the full-on degree of a pellet rifle that doesn't make much sound. All right. And then next up would be an airsoft pistol that, again, doesn't make much sound. Maybe one that doesn't even reciprocate much. And then you can go to one that does reciprocate. And then you can go to a 22 rifle and pistol. And then from there, like a 9mm full size that absorbs the recoil, maybe even with a comp if they don't have any sort of vision or hearing sensory overload issues, and so on and so forth. It's a gradient of sensory adjustments or catering. You're catering to their the degree of sensory issues or sensitivity, sensory sensitivity. Man, that's a lot of synonyms and S's and all that jazz. So with all that being said, I cater to it depending on the student and how sensitive they are to that. And right. I'll have a good conversation with them first and foremost. And then I'll have them watch me shoot it while I'm actually watching them and see how they react to that. And then I'll take that information and make a good judgment on where I feel like that we should start them.
Yeah, that's good stuff. I did not know that about the sensory input. That's a great point. You actually just educated me a lot right there. What I did do, and you kind of hit on this, is I went out and bought what do you call it, pellet gun with the CO2 cartridge.
Yeah,
I went and bought actually a SIG 320 clone.
Yeah,
in a 177 caliber pellet gun. By then it was too late. This girl was gone. I'd always expected at some point that was going to happen, that I was going to find somebody that was just deathly fearful of guns. But it never occurred to me that a 22 would trigger that response. I can understand it in a 38, 9mm, even a 380. Something like that, but it never occurred to me that a 22 was going to trigger something like that. And so I went out and spent about $80 on a Sig Sauer CO2 pistol, which, by the way, is a lot of fun to shoot.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, I mean, I also had the consideration during the whole ammo shortage. Hell, I might need about 5 or 6 of these things.
Let me go grab that CZ. I'll be right back. I'll show you this thing. It's pretty dang cool. Let's see. Here's this thing. And I can remember what in the world I did with my green gas.
Tyler's a serious gun guy when even his airsoft guns are tricked out, man.
So I green gas it up, right? And it's got like actual mags you can load. And there it goes. So it'll even lock back and everything. If I hold down hold down the slide lock, it acts and looks just like a regular old pistol, Somebody gave me an O-light. I'm not, just for anybody that may be looking at this, no, I don't condone using O-lights, but it was free. And so I just slapped that bad boy on there just for I like the balance of a weapon mounted light because I've shot pistols with weapon mounted lights my whole life and just kind of something I'm used to. Anyway, so yeah, there's that.
My 19-year-old son would have a blast with that thing. He'd love it.
It is a lot of fun. I got videos somewhere on my Facebook or somewhere of us in the backyard shooting these things at each other, like doing turning quick draws and whatnot. So, of course, we had.
Johnny had another question.
Okay.
How about buying your wife a gun? I'm gonna go first on this one because I think you'll appreciate my answer. I joke around that, I may have stole this from somebody. I may have heard somebody else say it. I don't remember if it was my fault or somebody else's, but I joke around that one of these days I'm going to write an article on how to buy your wife a gun, and it's going to be one word: don't.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and not just your wife, your daughter, your mom, your grandma,
anybody else,
your cousin.
Yeah, yeah. Your next door neighbor, your dog, anybody. Yeah.
And for all the newbies out there that are wanting some guidance on going out and buying your first gun, holler at someone like us, and we're going to give you a list of options to go put in your hand and see what you like. So that way the gun salesman on the counter doesn't try to just sell you whatever, something that he's got in on a trade and is going to make a lot of money off of, right, or some bull snot sky because it comes in purple or what the heck ever. So just hit up one of us first.
Yeah, I always tell them, the first thing is, make sure it's the size, weight that that you're looking for. What are you going to use it for? I mean, why do you want the gun? Is it going to go on your nightstand, or are you going to wear it for concealment? If you're going to wear it for concealment, you need to consider how comfortable it's going to be to carry around.
Yep.
And then you got to learn. This is something we need to get into later on too. Is carry options. There's a wealth of options out there nowadays, especially for women. The market has kind of shifted towards concealed carry for ladies, which I think is a good thing overall. But I think there are a lot of bad ideas out there in that realm as well. But going back to the proper choice of the gun, once we determine what you've used it, what your intent is for the gun, you need to make sure it fits your hand properly. You need to make sure you can reach the controls on it. You can grip it properly, and without adjusting that grip, I can reach the trigger. I can reach the mag release. I can reach the safety. You also need to make sure that the trigger is comfortable for you, because I've seen a lot of ladies whose husbands have bought them either a revolver, or I'll tell you one in the semi-auto round that's notorious for bad trigger press is the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard. And I love the concept behind that gun, but I had a lady that literally by the end of the day, she had a bruise on the front pad of her index finger from firing 100, 150 rounds out of that gun. And she hated it. She couldn't hit anything with it because the trigger was too heavy, So trigger press is important. I think being able to see, I think sights are important. To me, they are. The busier the sights are, and this comes from personal experience, the busier the sites are, the more I have to search for them, to get them lined up. And
again, sensory overload.
There you go. Right. And
that's where I was going earlier, overload.
And then we go into caliber, and the caliber debates, I'm sure you agree with me, are pretty stupid. Most of the general. But if I've got an 85-year-old woman who can't handle anything other than a 22 Magnum, well, go back to Jeff Cooper. The first rule of a gunfight is have a gun. I'm not going to try to talk her out of that, but if you can handle a 9mm or something comparable in that realm, that's what I want to push you towards. If you've got to go with something like a 380 or a 38, those two, that's where I get really very selective on ammo. I mean, go with it if that's what if that's what you're comfortable with.
I'm extremely selective on ammo, no matter what you're shooting.
Yeah, that's right. I'm not as big a snob on, say, 9mm 40-45, because to me, now you correct me if you think I'm wrong, but to me, shot placement and penetration overrule everything else.
Yeah, okay. Especially considering that pistol rounds are really just poking holes through people, and you're relying on bleed out.
So to me, in the 9mm realm, 9mm 40-40, which 40 is kind of going the way of the buffalo, it seems like, but in those calibers, to me, as long as you've got a heavy grain bonded hollow point, shot placement and penetration are going to trump everything else.
People don't know what bonded even means, though.
Well, bonded simply means that the jacket of the bullet is connected to the actual lead projectile.
Cool. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so did you say you didn't know what it means? You know what it means.
No, I said some people don't know what that means.
Some people don't. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I know damn well you know what that means.
Yeah, and that's not something they put on the box either.
Yeah, no, it's not. That's right. That's right. And
Hornady ain't going to tell you that their critical defense has bad setback issues, and neither is SIG V-Crown.
Right.
Neither one of them are going to be like, neither one of them are going to tell you, oh yeah, we don't crimp them as good as they do, so they don't have very good neck tension. And like, there's a lot of that's the reason why I'm a snob, because if I'm going to spend over $1 a round and trust my life to it, I want the cream of the crop. I want top dog. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah. All right. So let's see if we agree on this then. What's your go-to ammo? 9mm.
For poking holes in people, 124 plus P HSTs. The newest version where they have the sealed primer pockets.
I tell everybody. I told everybody during the ammo shortage.
Yeah.
If you can find Federal, when in doubt, go with Federal HST. But now I will tell you too, I have become a fan of Remington Golden Saber bonded.
Yeah, if I'm gonna, so if I want here, I got those two. Hang on. If I want it really bad, let's see. If I want a super duper bonded bullet, which shines in barrier penetration, windshields, doors, sheetrock, things like that, my pick for super awesome barrier blind ammo is going to be, believe it or not, this right here. If it'll focus. Come on, focus.
What is that? Is that the Ranger?
Ranger 1s. There it is. There's the batch number RA Romeo Alpha 9 Bravo 1. Bonded jacketed hollow point, 147 grain. The heavier the grain, a heavier grain 4 caliber is going to stay attached and hold its energy better when it goes through things naturally. That's what it's going to look like. All right, so if I don't want that, here are my other options. Federal HST 124 plus P. And of course, again, 124 plus P Spear Gold Dot. And just go ahead and do yourself a favor and buy the 50-round boxes. They're almost the same price as the 20-round boxes that they're raping you for at Dagenham Academy and Bass Pro and all that jazz. Just shop online and get the 50-round boxes. That way you can test it in your gun and see how it feels and all that. So, believe it or not, in my Glock 48 I carry, that's because a buddy of mine is the local Winchester dealer here for Precision Delta. 120. It's a Winchester Ranger 127 plus P plus. It's a spicy little rascal, and it's meant for shorter barrels. So sub 4-inch barrels. And technically, the Glock 48 doesn't have a short barrel because it's 19 length. But I got such a smoking deal on it. That's what I got in there.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, no problem. For people that are wondering, my thoughts on the other main defensive rounds, such as critical defense. Critical defense is a pretty craptastic round that's sold at the Academy and Bass Pros and all that jazz because it's in great supply. If you're going to get Hornady, you get the critical duty, the 135 grain critical duty. And believe it or not, most agency contracts that have the contract with Hornady, those are the exact ones they're going to get. And they're going to be better crimped. They're not going to have as bad setback issues. Sig V Crown has setback issues. Golden Saber has issues with not wanting to always expand in the testing. So
and jacket separation.
Yep. So same way with the Ranger, or the Winchester PDX ones. That stupid. Then you got, and for God bless America, please don't buy fragmenting ammo. That's a bunch of nonsense. Unless you're gonna go pull security inside of a submarine or an airplane, you ain't got no daggone business having fragmenting ammo.
I have had numerous, and I'm not even talking about frangible. You know, I've had numerous students come to me with this RIP ammo.
Take that crap. Throw it in
the tombstone drawn on the box.
So stupid.
And, you know, and I had a lengthy conversation with a young guy one time, trying to explain to him why, you know, look, I'm not a physicist, but I know this. You know, penetration into the vital areas of a deer, a human, whatever, is achieved by a combination of velocity, mass, and weight, of bullet weight. Mm-hmm. When you have an ammo that is designed to explode on impact, you are taking away the ability to penetrate into the vital organs. What you're going to get out of that RIP ammo is going to be, an entrance wound.
Yeah.
That may or may not stop that cracked up moron who's charging you with a knife.
It's not going to.
And in addition to that, what do you think the DA is going to say if they decide to prosecute you, or the prosecutor in a civil trial, and they bring this freaking box of ammo into the courtroom with a tombstone painted on it? You know, so it's just, that's one of those gimmicky ideas that it's designed to sell ammo, not designed to protect your life.
And the gimmicks don't stop there. We were talking a minute ago about how the industry has started giving tons of options to our female concealed carriers out there. I tell you right now, for every one good quality product, there's about 10 crappy ones made by people looking to take advantage of your lack of knowledge of the subject. All right. And that is unfortunately the way of the world. I mean, you can apply that to every industry. Think of all the fad diets and all the stupid little weight loss pills that everybody's been trying to sell to take advantage of people that want a quick fix now and don't understand how proper nutrition in the body and metabolism actually work. It's a whole nother rant I can go off onto, because I'm a big fan of fitness and nutrition, like holistic, like live your whole life nutrition, not go shake up some cool, awesome, make you feel good shake in the morning type of thing. Like, what type of whole foods actually makes your body do the right thing? Anyway, so it doesn't just end there, man. Like, there's so much crap out there. It's unreal. And when people come to a class with that, I have to find the most tactful way of telling them, like, hey, dog, ma'am, sir, whatever. Like, I understand you spent your hard-earned money on this, but I'm here to tell you that in our testing and independent testing, that stuff's a gimmick. Like, it's been proven to not work the way it's been advertised. I'm so sorry that they have such great advertising. So
yeah, you know, and on some of that stuff, you and I don't even have to see it. We can just hear the
gimmick.
You know, what's it designed to do, and tell you that's not going to work. That's like those shotgun slugs that were designed, you know, that come out and they expand into something that big around. I'm sitting there going,
the Lehigh defense.
Yeah, you might as well be throwing frisbees because that's not gonna do anything. Years ago, when I was a kid, I was very blessed to grow up fishing with a legend in the bass industry. Okay, this guy, I won't mention his name. He was a lure designer, invented several well-known lures, and he told me when I was a kid. He's dead and gone now, but he told me when I was a kid. He said, they called me Little Carl back then because I never did catch up to my dad. My dad was 6'5". I only hit 6'3". So, but
only 6'3".
Yeah. Well, I've shrunk now, so I'm even littler than Little Carl. Okay, but Little Carl, he said, it's not a matter of whether the lure catches the fish. It's a matter of whether it catches the fisherman.
Oh.
That guy's going through Bass Pro, or at that time, we're talking Woolco and Kmart. Some of the guys my age remember Woolco. Woolco, Kmart, Zaire, you're in the fishing section.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, I don't have one of those in my tackle box. I better get one of those.
Right.
And that was how they sold lures, right? Mm-hmm. Well, the same thing has come across. It's prevalent in the handgun and the self-defense world and the rifle and hunting industry and everything else as well. But you got to go back to you brought it up earlier, basic mathematics, physics. Basic physics are what they are. They will never change.
That's it.
Now you mentioned Federal HST. They make the only round that I will recommend for a 38 special.
Okay.
And that is if I've got a student who comes to me and says, I carry a 38, I can shoot well with it. They prove they can shoot well with it. What ammo should I be carrying? I'm not a big fan of 5-shot revolvers anymore. I think there was a time for them. And we can have that discussion later. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page there.
Mm-hmm.
But if somebody insists that that's what I'm going to carry, the 130 grain Federal HST Micro, is one of the most impressive. It's probably the most impressive 38 round I think I've ever seen.
Is that the one that looks like a wad cutter?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and while on the micro thing, go ahead and just not even look at the 150 grain micro HSTs. Those are terrible.
I haven't even seen those yet, but
they're terrible.
I've got a 38 model. It's a J-frame Smith. I mean, a 642, I guess it is. 342. I can't keep up with the model numbers, but I've got one. One of the guns I keep in my nightstand is that one because it's simple.
Yes.
And my wife can grab it and she knows press the trigger and it goes bang, right? And that's what I keep it loaded with.
God bless a Glock for the same reason.
Well, I've been trying for years to turn my wife into a gun chick, and she just ain't gonna. She's a girly girl. She's not gonna go there. So
that's fine. Yeah.
So,
no worries. My girlfriend, she, believe it or not, I met my girlfriend. She went through. Some lady decided to roll down her window and spray her and her dog with like this red liquid stuff and chase after them and things like that. It was like, this is a whole weird deal. And not long after that, she decided, hey, I don't want to have to go through that again and not be prepared. And found me on Facebook and reached out to me for a private lesson, her and her mom. And this was like, oh man, we're going on almost 2 years ago. This private lesson went down. So it's just 2 hours. And they both had revolvers, and we just, we did what we can. We, private lesson, right? This is what you got. You need to learn how to use it. So this is what we're going to do. And she still has that revolver. No, I take that back. Her aunt actually bought it from her a couple days ago because I gave her ammo for it to give to her aunt. Anyway, now we're going to go buy her a SIG 365 XL. And anyway, I say all to say this. So, I mean, for the past almost 2 years, she's had a 22 Magnum LCR. And while that's not an easy gun to shoot, at least, like you said earlier, the first rule of a gunfight is you bring a gun. And it is simple, but she's not a gun person by any means. God bless her. She is a industry leading person in her field, and that is health. That is holistic health, especially when it comes to female metabolic and hormonal health. Anyway, so I respect her for doing her job her way, and not trying to overstep her bounds and do my job and vice versa type of thing. So with all that said, she made the decision on her own. I never pressed her to anything. I was like, look, the day comes that you want to do this, I'm here for you. Like, I'll help teach you. I'll recommend you another instructor. If you don't want me teaching you, it's cool. No problem. Do the best I can. And so she finally made a decision on her own the other day to get rid of the revolver and actually get a better gun, a more adequate gun. So we're absolutely in that process now, and I'm super excited for this whole experience. Honestly, I don't know if she's excited, but I'm definitely excited for it.
Well, I'm excited for you. That's a great step, man. That's awesome to hear. And if you think about it, the idea of carrying a firearm. This is me talking, and but it's to cause the bad guy to want to break contact.
Yeah, disturbing the loop. Disturbing the attack cycle, however you want to call it.
Right, and if you can do that, with a whatever weapon you have, you've got a better chance of causing that to happen than you do if you have no weapon at all. And that's kind of where I was going earlier. If somebody comes to me and says, I just don't think I can handle anything other than a 22 Magnum, a 32, a 38, whatever. I'm not going to tell them, just throw your gun away if that's all that's stupid. What I'm going to do is try to train them to their gun and make them the best that they can be with what they have to work with. And hopefully they will continue taking classes either from me or from another instructor. And I do advocate go get more than one opinion. Go to other. I don't ever see other instructors as competition. I see that we're all part of the same wheelhouse, so to speak. But at some point, if they want to step up and say, well, I'm ready to to take the next step forward and get something a little bit more powerful, a little bit better terminal ballistics, then hey, that's great.
Yep.
I'm not going to dog their gun out.
Same.
And get them to, just to back away completely from even being armed at all. I think that is counterproductive.
Yep. So I like to approach some of the conversations with this. You already understand that needing a gun in your life in a defensive situation is already a pretty slim chance. And then we also need to recognize that needing the gun and actually having to pull the trigger is an even slimmer chance. Needing the gun and pulling the trigger in a low light, no light setting where you need a weapon mount of light, again, even slimmer. Needing more than 10 rounds, again, slimmer. Like the actual percentage of all this happening is just going down with the more conditions I add to this. However, here's the caveat to that. What does it cost you if and when it does happen and whatever you have is inadequate? So while it's a low possibility, it's a high consequence.
Right.
And it's totally up to you on how much of that you want to gamble. I don't pay your bills. I don't go home with you at night. I can't tell you which way to gamble on that or which thing to compromise on. Only you can. The best thing I can do is give you all the information that I've worked so hard to gather and deliver it in a way that you can understand it so that you can make your own educated decision. So
I 1,000% agree with everything you just said right there. I mean, we don't know. And one of the things I try to get across to students is, because there are a lot of old adages out there that may have been true at one time. Your average gunfight's going to be 3 feet away. You're going to fire an average of 2 shots, blah, blah, blah. But look, as well as I do, ammo changes, gun platforms change, criminal behavior changes.
Everything evolves. Yep.
Everything evolves. And nowadays, I know you're a big fan of active self-protection of their channel, and so am I. I watch it pretty much religiously. I have not gone through the training as you did. I'd like to if I could ever find the time. But I'm a big fan of that channel. I watch other channels on YouTube as well. And both of us have seen enough surveillance video to know that the idea of one attacker now has kind of become a rarity, whether it's inside the home or outside the home. I've seen surveillance video of 8 people breaking into one home.
Yeah.
Some of them armed with AR-15s.
That's it. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you plan on breaking in my home while I'm here, you better be armed. You better bring a lot of daggone firepower, because I'm gonna bring a lot of skill.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And but the criminal element, and that's kind of one of the things I probably study as much as I try to study all the other stuff that goes with personal defense is criminal behavior. I'm kind of a geek on that stuff, like you are on math. I mean, criminal psychology. I spent a number of years reading about the Italian mafia, for example, or organized crime in general, serial killers, that kind of thing. Those people don't think like we do.
Nope.
And if you underestimate them, you're gambling, because they're not stupid. They are experts in their craft. They are experts in what they do.
And highly motivated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you're seeing more and more crimes nowadays where a carjacking is not some random guy coming up to you and pulling a switchblade like 1978. No, you've got them working in teams. So is that 5-shot revolver really adequate for you any longer? If you get one shot, one kill on 5 people like they do on TV, yeah. But if you can do that, you need to be on TV. And if you think you can do that, you're living in a fantasy world.
Yep. Everybody that carries a revolver likes to think they're Jerry Mitchell.
Hey, look, I talked about it yesterday. I love revolvers. I do. I love them.
Yep.
There's something. There's something elegant about a Model 629 Smith & Wesson revolver. I love looking at them. I would love, I'd take one deer hunting. All right, but I am not carrying a J-frame 5-shot 38 special as my primary self-defense weapon. Me either. Not today. I'd have done it in the 80s. I wouldn't do it now.
Yeah. So like you said, everything evolves. So believe it or not, I've actually wrote a couple papers on a couple things about it. You remember earlier you said that being a good student is paramount to being a good instructor. I've actually written a paper on that as well. And then also on how things need to evolve and how stagnation is literally death. I mean, you can look out through history and down to the smallest bits of biology. Everything that goes stagnant dies. And everything that evolves keeps up with the times. I mean, that's why we no longer have mammoths and other things that just died out over time. They didn't evolve. They got stagnant. They became victims of their environment and couldn't survive. I'm going to tell you right now, criminals are doing the exact same thing. All right. Sure. Every time they get defeated, they come back figuring out exactly how to win. All right. And they are very motivated to do that. We are creatures of comfort, us normal brain thinking people. We're very comfortable in our homes, right? And we like to feel that comfort outside of our homes. We like to feel that comfort pushing our shopping buggy back to the car. And yes, I say buggy. It's a daggone buggy, not a cart. Get off me. We're down in the South. But and it's just not the case. Now, am I telling you to walk around all like hyper vigilant with a gun strapped to your side and quick draw withdrawal with a gamer rig with 23 rounds of ammo or wear a tinfoil hat? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is you need to be aware and you need to have your action plan adequate to your life. My defense plan is specific to my way of living. All right. I go into some very high risk areas for a daily job. I need 15 plus rounds of ammo, full on medical and trauma kits, maybe a reload at least nearby. Right, I need a four-wheel drive truck that's capable with a big brush guard in the front end in case I need to push my way out of a situation. Like, those are all things within my defense plan that I've already premeditated and figured out. Because guess what? Just like they're very motivated to take what I've got and earned, I'm extremely motivated to win, whatever that means. Right. Or just stay the hell away from it all. So I'm equally motivated to just never not deal with that. But I do for occupational purposes, I do have to go in some high risk areas. But anyway, I say all that to say this: evolve or die. So I know that sounds abrupt and mean, but it is what it is.
Well, and not only evolve, but have a real life outlook on the world as it exists. And
really.
as much as you and I both, I'm sure, agree that conflict avoidance is optimal, it's just not always possible.
Number one. That's it, man.
You know, I'll tell you this. I tell all of my students the same thing. I think that the number one quality you've got to have once you have taken on the responsibility of carrying a firearm for self-defense, the number one quality you've got to have is humility. You've got to have the humility to number one, know what I don't know and to strive to get better. Okay. When you see a guy or a gal, a person who says, I know everything I need to know about shooting, what they have just told you is I've stopped learning. I have quit. Yeah. I've stopped evolving. I've planed out. I don't want to go any farther. I'm underestimating the world that surrounds me. That's what they just told you.
Yep.
But you've also got to have the humility to avoid a fight, to walk away. I don't remember who the Marine general was that said it, but I love this saying: be polite, be professional, but have a plan to kill everybody you meet. You know, there's a lot of truth in that.
Mm-hmm.
Because it may happen. Jeff Cooper, I remember reading in his book decades ago, but he would not shake hands with a stranger in public because he didn't want to give them that grasp on himself. He didn't want them to have a hold of him. You know, that sounds crazy, but
it is.
But today, think
That's
about
tinfoil hat stuff right there, man.
But think about it. All right, if you're in Crackville,
yeah,
and some guy you don't know looks sketchy, walks up, shakes his hand, puts his hand out, shake hands. You gonna shake hands with him?
Very much depends.
Yeah, there you go. But it's something to think about. Is the point. It is tinfoil hat stuff, but on occasion, it would be real. You know, it might be real. So, you know, have the humility to walk away is what I'm saying, is to avoid conflict, avoid the fight. That guy that badmouths you at the red light, don't return fire verbally, vocally speaking. You know, hey, you're right, man. I'm sorry, my screw up.
That's it.
You know,
you get to a confrontation at the bar, be like, man, I'm so sorry, dude. What are you drinking? Can I buy you a beer? I'd love to buy you a beer. My bad.
Let me tell you that story. I tried that one night. I wound up breaking the guy's nose, but he jumped me from behind when I turned to walk away.
Yeah, I mean, but you tried. So if you ever had to go to court over that, you can stand firmly saying, "Hey, man, I tried everything I could do to de-escalate this ordeal." Yeah. And he put his hands on me first, even afterwards. So
yeah, humility I think is extremely important. I really do. And let us guys, let's be honest, it doesn't come natural to us.
No, especially in the early 20s.
That's a learned behavior.
Yep. Yeah, you got to get checked enough times to realize you can't win them all.
Yeah. Well, when you get my age, it becomes more obvious.
That's fair. Since you're into all the criminal stuff, I'm sure you've read Varg Freeborn's books.
No, I have not.
Yep. So the first one is Violence of Mind, and then the second one is Beyond the OODA. Definitely recommend both of those.
I mean, yeah.
A lot.
Hey, text me on those. I'll order those tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've read a lot of more. I'm more into the biographies, the hunt for serial killers, that kind of the investigative part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've read a lot of those, watched a lot of the documentaries. My wife actually told me, she said, if you don't quit watching these serial killer videos, I'm going to start getting worried about you, But the criminal mind, I mean, I try to tell people all the time, they don't think like we do.
Not at all.
And there's a lot of bad information out there too. Well, if I rack the slide on my shotgun, they'll run. Well, they might take it as a challenge.
You know what happens when you rack the pump on your shotgun? You put a shell in the chamber. That's it. That's
right.
the only thing that actually happens.
That's it. That's right. Well, hey, brother, we've been at this for
hour 15.
Hour and 15. Let's call it a night, and tomorrow I will get us set up to where we can broadcast this on both of all of our channels.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have more people tuning in. But I really enjoyed it. Great conversation, buddy.
Yeah, man.
And you're going to go eat supper.
Oh, I've already ate. Remember back when I said I'm a big kind of a health nerd? I have to eat. Yeah, I have to eat.
I had finished up hamburgers on the grill about 5 minutes before I logged in. So.
Oh man, so I have to eat before 7:30 just for health.
I hear you.
It's got to be done. So, you go eat your burger, man. Thank you so much, Mr. Carl.
Hey, buddy. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good night.